How could she do this to me? How could she rip our family apart like it meant nothing? Those were the thoughts pounding through my head as I woke up that morning, hungover and foggy. My name's Theo Harper. Up until just last night, I truly believed my wife, Ellie, was my soulmate. Turns out, I was dead wrong. She confessed she had been cheating for a whole year and expected me to be okay with it. Absolutely not. I was seething. She told me she still loved me, but also loved him, and had no intention of ending it. She actually said she wanted to keep seeing him, even spending the night with him sometimes. I felt completely helpless. She said he was just some client, someone going through a divorce that she was helping. That was a lie. He was her divorce attorney. That's when I realized things were deeper than I thought. It clicked that this could be a serious breach of ethics on his part, something that could get him disbarred. I grinned at the thought for a moment, but it faded quick. I had no clue who this guy really was. And prying the truth out of Ellie wasn't going to be easy. I knew I'd have to take things to another level. The rage in me wanted to explode, but I couldn't do that. I had kids. As much as I hated her for what she'd done, she was still their mother. I had to think smarter. I remembered something a buddy told me years ago, how he emptied his bank accounts the day before his cheating wife filed for divorce. Left her high and dry. Sure, she found a free legal service, but she still lost the case. The difference was he had no kids. I did, which meant I'd probably still be stuck with support payments. Still, I wasn't going to sit around and let her and her lawyer boyfriend walk all over me. I made a call to her parents, my in-laws. Her mom answered, cheerful as ever. Clearly, she had no idea what her daughter had been up to. I asked about how often they were watching the kids lately. She said about 3 or 4 times a week, while Ellie volunteered at the food pantry and shelter. It broke my heart. Ellie was lying to her own parents too. I thanked her, played it cool, and asked her to keep it a surprise. Said I was planning something for Ellie. She promised not to say anything. After I hung up, I looked at myself in the mirror. Honestly, I didn't look as bad as I thought. Hair still decent, not too thin. I shaved, brushed up, and noticed something. My gut was way out of hand. She wasn't wrong about that part. I'd let myself go, working insane hours to provide for her and the kids. And this is how she thanked me? That day, I canceled all our joint credit cards and opened new ones in my name only. I called the bank and moved every penny from our shared accounts into a new solo account. I shut off all automatic payments. I was playing defense now, no more being the blind husband. She made it clear she was ready for war. Well, I had a few tricks up my sleeve too. I might be a diesel mechanic now, but I spent 4 years in the Army's Criminal Investigation Division. I could have gone into law enforcement or private work, but I chose engines. It's what I love, and it pays well, especially with all the overtime I get. I tossed on some sweats and went out for a jog. Cleared my head and made a mental list. Called my boss afterward, told him I needed a couple weeks off due to personal issues. He understood. Back home, I cleaned up and went shopping. First, I got winter gear, black gloves, turtleneck, a ski mask with no mouth hole. Picked up a pair of Oakleys with matte frames. Then I hit Walmart, grabbed a gym bag and black steel-toed work boots. I swung by a spy store, yeah, they really exist, and picked up 2 voice-activated recorders, a GPS tracker with long battery life, and another bag for clothes. I also got a slimmer belt to help hide my stomach. Didn't want to be recognizable by body type. Paid cash for everything. No paper trail. Last stop, the sporting goods store. Bought an aluminum bat. That wasn't for baseball. Now came the hard part, pretending to be the broken man she thought she could push around. When I got home that evening, Ellie still wasn't back. I didn't bother calling until later. When I did, her phone went straight to voicemail. I left a message, clearly upset, saying she needed to call me back right away. Guilt trip turned up to 10. 2 hours later, she finally rang me. Sounded breathless. Probably still with him. I faked panic, told her something was wrong with the kids. She raced home in under 10 minutes. As soon as she came through the garage door, I was sitting in the living room, pale and quiet. She looked frantic. What's going on? She asked, scared. I snapped. Cold, sharp, venom in every word. Now you care? Took you 2 hours to call me back. What's more important, your boyfriend or your children? She crumpled onto the couch, sobbing. I kept my voice low but firm. What if it had been me in trouble? Would you have just stayed with him and called your mom to keep the kids another night? It's not like that, she cried, looking up at me, ashamed. Oh, really? I asked, shaking my head slowly. You left your phone off. What if something happened? How would your parents reach you? How would I reach you? I didn't mean, she tried to interrupt. No, Ellie. You did. You chose this. You've already replaced me. She sobbed harder. I miss my wife. The kids miss their mom. But you're not her anymore. She stood up, face twisted in a mix of guilt and rage. You're trying to make me feel bad. I want you to feel bad. Because you should. I turned, grabbed the recorder and GPS unit, and headed to her car. Hid the recorder under her seat. Tucked the GPS under the passenger's side. I kept the receivers. I'd know everywhere she went and everything she said. Later that evening, she came out dressed up again. I begged her not to go, told her this would destroy our family. She looked torn, even apologized, said she loved me, but said he needed her. That was all I needed to hear. When Eleonora came home, I told her flat out, if she was truly sorry, she wouldn't still be seeing him. She kept insisting this thing between them was complicated, that he needed her. I reminded her that we needed her too. Me. Our kids. Our home. I asked her how she could so easily throw away 16 years and 3 beautiful children for a man who didn't even know our family. She kept repeating herself like she was trapped in some fantasy, saying she still loved me, but she felt connected to him in ways she couldn't explain. I was trying to stay calm, but I felt the ground under me cracking more each time she justified it. I finally agreed to let her go see him, not because I accepted it, but because I needed time to think. She mistook my silence as a win, gave me a small, smug smile, and told me not to worry, that she'd always be mine. I didn't say much. I just nodded and told her we'd talk more later. Truth is, I had other plans. As soon as she left, I got to work. I grabbed the gear I bought earlier, voice recorder, GPS tracker, and installed them in her car. I kept the receivers with me so I could track where she was going and who she was talking to. Once she was gone, I took a short drive past the house I'd followed her to the night before. Sure enough, her car was parked inside this guy's garage, his garage. She even had the code. That stung more than I expected. I didn't go inside or confront them. I just wrote down the address, took note of the car's license plate, and went home. There was no point doing anything rash. I needed to be smart for the kids, for myself. I was angry, yes, but I also had discipline. I've been through worse. I just had to channel the hurt into something productive. Back home, I made a plan. First, I'd gather real evidence, not assumptions, not theories, facts. I'd show the truth, legally and clearly. Then I'd protect what mattered. My kids, my finances, my future. The next morning, I looked up the guy's name. Nathaniel Grandson, divorce attorney. Widowed, no kids. Ironic, considering he was helping destroy my marriage. I went to the bank and made sure all my personal accounts were separate. Then I rented a car so I wouldn't be recognized if I had to drive near his place again. I needed to keep Eleonora thinking I was on board with her shared time idea, at least for now. That afternoon, I called her and asked when she planned to bring the kids home. She said she'd leave them with her parents until Monday. I suggested taking them to my mom's instead. She missed them, and Eleonora agreed without hesitation. I asked if she'd be up for spending time with me that night, just the two of us. There was a long pause, but then she said yes. It almost sounded like she pitied me, but I played along. As soon as we hung up, I drove back near Nathaniel's place and waited from a distance. She left just before sunset. I followed at a safe distance to confirm she went home. Later that evening, while she was getting ready, assuming I'd come home ready to talk, I was at a lawyer's office, filing for divorce. I asked for full custody of the kids and a fair split of assets. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was protecting my future. I didn't tell her family. They were kind people, and I figured they didn't need the whole story yet. I just wanted to get my ducks in a row before anything went public. Before the night ended, I made one anonymous call to report what I knew about Nathaniel's potential ethical violations. If he was representing Eleonora while involved with her romantically, that crossed some serious professional lines. Let the legal system deal with him. I had other things to focus on. I never wanted to hurt anyone, not physically. That wasn't my goal. I just wanted him, the man who broke up my home, to understand what it felt like to have your life fall apart. Every time he thought about being with someone else's wife, I wanted that memory to sting. Seemed fair to me. I grabbed the voice recorder and left myself a note, a simple message outlining the affair. Not for drama, just evidence, something I could use later if needed. Later that evening, I pulled into the garage and took the GPS tracker and the recorder from Eleanor's car. I tossed them into my truck and walked inside, trying to act natural. She was in the kitchen cooking steaks, one of my favorite meals, and the smell was enough to make my heart ache. I walked up behind her, wrapped my arms around her waist, and kissed her neck like nothing had happened. She seemed relieved, told me she was glad I was understanding now. I played along. Then I asked her, real casual, if she would have actually divorced me if I hadn't agreed to let her continue her relationship with this guy. She didn't hesitate, said yes. That if I had stood in her way, she would have left, taken the kids, and filed papers. Her tone softened after that. Said she regretted the way things happened but still claimed to love me. She admitted her lover, who, by now, I knew was her divorce lawyer, had encouraged her to make things as painful as possible for me if I pushed back. That stung, more than I expected. I kept calm and asked what she had planned this week. She said her mom was keeping the kids until Monday, so we'd have the weekend to ourselves. Then, almost like it was nothing, she said she'd be seeing him again Tuesday night through Wednesday morning. I smiled bitterly. You really are a great mother, I said, not hiding the sarcasm. I asked if there was anything I could do to make her stop. She shook her head, apologized again, and said she had to see it through, whatever that meant. I told her, sure, we'd spend the weekend together. But in my mind, I already knew what Monday would bring. My lawyer had everything ready. I'd make the call first thing and have the papers served. Dinner that night was great. I'll miss her cooking. I really will. We talked, laughed even. Then we went upstairs. And for the first time in a long time, we were physically close. There was passion. Not love, not for me, but she didn't know that. When it was over, she noticed the marks on her neck and body and panicked, asking how she could explain that to her boyfriend. I shrugged. You never told me not to, I said. And you sure seemed into it. She sat quietly, then admitted it was the best intimacy she'd ever had, even better than with him. I acted touched, played the part of the forgiving husband. I told her I loved her. Told her I wanted to work things out. She said she still loved me too, but the affair needed to run its course. I nodded, hiding the truth. She had no idea that her course was about to end. The next day was more the same. She cooked, cleaned, acted like everything was perfect. It was surreal. Sunday night we were close again. She didn't say a word about the marks this time. Then Monday came. That morning, I gave her one last chance. I asked her not to go back to him. She ignored the plea, grabbed her phone, and walked to the living room. I didn't press it. I left to get the kids from my mom's house. We stopped at Burger King on the way back. The kids were happy. It felt nice, like how things used to be simple, normal. Just before we got home, my phone rang. It was Eleonora. I answered with a light tone, joking she must already miss me. She didn't laugh. Why did I just get served divorce papers? I told her calmly that I was picking up the kids and assumed the papers had reached her by then. I apologized, said we'd talk about it at home, then hung up and turned my phone off. When I got back, she was waiting. The kids ran to her excitedly. She smiled through the pain and lied to them, said she'd been volunteering. Then she told them we had a fun weekend planned, which was partly true, just not the kind of fun she had imagined. I asked her to talk privately and brought her to the basement. I laid it all out. I told her I was filing for divorce because I couldn't live with the betrayal anymore. I reminded her I had asked, pleaded even, for her to end the affair. And I told her about the recording, her voice admitting to it, clear as day. She stood there stunned, mouth half open. She wasn't prepared for this. I explained how I'd be asking for full custody of the kids, that her own words would be part of my case, how she said her lover meant more to her than our family. I reminded her that having a romantic relationship with her own attorney could have serious consequences. She was speechless. I told her I had done everything to make her happy over the years, bought her the house, the car, gifts she didn't need, worked overtime to provide. I admitted I may have fallen short emotionally at times, but I had always loved her. That love was gone now. I left out the part about planning this for weeks. She didn't need to know that. In the divorce papers, I offered fair visitation. She could see the kids, just not alone. Either I'd be there, or my mom or her dad would supervise. Later that night, I sat the kids down and explained things as gently as I could. Told them Mommy and Daddy weren't going to live together anymore, but they were still loved and nothing was their fault. They took it better than I expected. We moved into my mom's house. She was happy to have us. Plenty of space since Dad passed. It was a good place to regroup. 2 days later, Eleonora found out that Nate had landed in the hospital. She called me at work, furious. When Eleonora called, her voice was frantic. She was crying, yelling, accusing me of hurting Nate. I played dumb, kept my voice steady, even a little confused. Nate who? I asked. I mentioned a guy I worked with named Nate Barrett, a drinking buddy. He happened to be in earshot and overheard me playing it cool. He caught on quick and almost lost it laughing. Eleonora started to backtrack. She said her Nate, had been attacked, that he was in rough shape and might never walk right again. I kept my expression calm. That's awful, I said. If he's the guy who broke up a family, I'd buy a beer for whoever did it. She went quiet. I could tell the doubt was creeping in. I asked her how she could trust a man like that, one who used his own tragic past to get close to someone else's wife. I saw her silence as a small victory. And for once, she actually said I was right. Mark the date. It might have been the first time in years. The divorce process played out just like my lawyer predicted. My mom testified about watching the kids while Eleonora was out volunteering, and the judge took everything into account. Eleonora didn't lose custody, but I was named the primary guardian. The court ordered that no romantic partners be around the kids without supervision. I agreed to child support for the time she had them. She was told to find work, and with her accounting degree, she could. The house was sold. We split that 50-50. As for our joint accounts, the judge gave me a 75% share, since I had been the one earning and saving. Eleonora tried to argue it was unfair, but the judge was firm. She was lucky she didn't lose more. Then came the lawsuit against Nate, alienation of affection. With Eleonora's testimony and my own, the judge awarded me $500,000 in damages. The same judge handled both cases. I liked that guy. After it all wrapped up, I took Cassie, my attorney, out for a drink. I had been staying healthy, barely drinking, working out, and the stress weight had melted off. That night, I let myself enjoy a beer or two. Cassie and I had gotten close during the case. She was professional, sharp, and beautiful, tough when she had to be, but kind underneath it all. Over beers, we talked about what came next. I told her I was buying a smaller house, one with enough room for the kids but without all the baggage of the last place. She smiled and said I deserved a fresh start. Then she caught me off guard, asked if she could fire me as a client. Why? I asked, laughing. Because I don't date clients, she said with a grin. I agreed. She fired me right there at the bar and invited me to dinner at her place. That's where it all really began. Fast forward 6 months, Cassie and I are a couple. She's moved in. The kids adore her, and to my surprise, they've started calling her Mommy Cassie on their own. She's not trying to replace Eleonora, just being herself, and that's more than enough. We have a peaceful life now. Even Eleonora joins us for dinner occasionally when she picks up the kids. Things are civil. She's got a job now and seems more grounded. Her doctor says her hormones were way out of balance, and maybe that explains some of it. She's earning her way at a local firm. Good for her. As for me, I was promoted to supervisor at the diesel shop. Same pay, fewer hours. More time with my kids and Cassie. I feel like I'm finally back in control of my life. Eleonora still doesn't date. Says she's still in love with me. I do not believe that, but I do think she regrets it all. That's her burden to carry now, not mine. Am I still bitter? Sure. But bitterness fades when you've got someone like Cassie beside you, when your kids are laughing in the next room, and you know you did the hard thing and came out stronger. That's enough for me.